When you picture a Texas beach, you probably picture the crowds, the traffic and towers of Galveston, the spring break chaos of South Padre. But here is what most people never realize. Texas has more than 360 miles of coastline, and the best of it is wild, empty, and hidden. Sometimes with no town, no road, and no cell signal at all. There is an island off the middle coast, 38 miles long, with no bridges, no power, and no people, where you can walk for hours and see nothing but sand and sky, no crowds, no condos, just you, the sand, and the Gulf. So today we are counting down 10 of the most secluded, hidden gem beaches in Texas, from a quiet art town on Aransas Bay all the way to the longest undeveloped beach on Earth at number 1. Number 10, Rockport on the coastal bend. Northeast of Corpus Christi, on the calm waters of Aransas Bay, sits a laid-back little town that feels a world away from the busy Gulf beaches, and it hides one of the great wildlife spectacles in North America. Rockport and its twin, Fulton, are an artist's colony with a walkable downtown full of galleries and seafood shacks, and a clean, protected bay beach that was the first in Texas to earn a Blue Wave designation. But the real draw comes in winter. This is one of only 2 places on Earth where the endangered whooping crane, a 5-foot-tall bird nearly lost forever, comes to spend the cold months out at the nearby Aransas Refuge. Take a slow boat out at dawn to watch these rare giants stalk the shallows, then wander back past the old Fulton mansion. It is quiet, it is gentle, and it is the perfect place to begin. That is the calm coast. The next one is a sleepy surf town most Texans have never bothered to stop in. Number 9, Surfside Beach on the Upper Coast. Just down the shore from Galveston, this tiny residential town is everything the big resort beaches are not. There are no high-rise hotels, no boardwalk chaos, no nightlife, just a sleepy grid of beach houses on stilts and a long fishing pier where locals and retirees drop a line into the Gulf. The quiet is the entire point. And here's the surprise. Because the water offshore drops deep close to the beach, Surfside gets some of the best surf in all of Texas. Gentle enough for beginners and long enough for a real ride. Rent a board, drive your car right onto the sand with a permit, and set up for a whole day where the loudest sound is the waves. Watch the sun come up over an empty pier. A couple of surfers, the only other souls out there. That is the quiet side of Galveston. The next one you can only reach by boarding a ferry. Before we reach number 8, if you would rather have a beach to yourself than fight for a spot on the crowded one, hit subscribe. This channel is your map to the empty coast nobody else is looking for. Number 8, the Bolivar Peninsula on the Upper Coast. Right across the channel from crowded Galveston lies a long, skinny peninsula that most tourists never think to visit. And getting there is half the fun. You board a ferry that runs around the clock and is completely free. And on the ride over, dolphins routinely surf along in the boat's wake. On the other side waits Crystal Beach, 7 miles of wide, drive-on Gulf sand with no real town center. Just beach houses, a few live music joints, and open shoreline. Come on a weekday, and even though Houston is barely an hour away, you can practically have the whole beach to yourself. Drive right down onto the sand, build a bonfire, and watch the historic Bolivar lighthouse fade into the dusk. Just you, the sand, and the Gulf. That is a ferry ride worth taking. The next one is a sleepy fishing village at the very edge of the wilderness. Number 7, Port O'Connor on the Middle Coast. At the end of a long, lonely highway about 2.5 hours from Houston sits a tiny fishing village where the pavement basically runs out and the wild coast begins. Port O'Connor is not a resort. It is a quiet cluster of waterfront cabins, bait shops, and boat ramps, the kind of place where everyone is either fishing or heading out to fish. Its own Kingfisher Beach is calm and uncrowded, but the real reason to come is what lies just offshore. This is the launch point, the jumping-off spot where you catch a boat or paddle a kayak out to the undeveloped barrier islands that almost nobody ever sets foot on. Grab a plate of fresh Gulf shrimp, watch the boats idle out at dawn, and feel the whole world slow down. That is the edge of the map. The next one is where you finally put your feet in near-empty sand. Number 6, Mustang Island State Park on the coastal bend. Everyone flocks to lively Port Aransas, and hardly anyone drives the few extra minutes down the island to this quiet state park where the crowds simply vanish. Here you get miles of open, dune-backed shoreline, some of the cleanest and clearest water on the Texas coast, and the space to walk a long stretch without passing another person. It carries a Blue Wave certification for its clean, healthy beach, and behind the dunes, a paddling trail winds through the shallow Back Bay flats, perfect for a quiet morning in a kayak. Pitch a spot right on the sand, swim in that clear Gulf water, and let the busy town over the horizon disappear from your mind. This is proof you do not have to go far off the grid to find peace. That is the quiet side of Port A. The next one is the widest, emptiest beach in the entire state. Number 5, Matagorda on the Middle Coast. Where the Colorado River finally reaches the Gulf sits a sleepy town fronting what may be the widest and emptiest beach in Texas. Matagorda has around 58 miles of shoreline, more than 20 of them walkable. And it stays a genuine escape from the crowds of South Padre and Galveston. East of the river mouth, you can drive out onto the sand with a permit and find your own private stretch. West of the river, there are no roads at all, only kayak and boat access, which keeps those beaches even wilder and emptier. This is also one of the great birding spots in the country, ranking number 1 on the Audubon Christmas bird count since 1997. Walk out onto an impossibly wide beach with thousands of shells at your feet, roseate spoonbills waiting nearby, and not another towel in sight. Just you, the sand, and the Gulf. The next one you can reach only by ferry, and no cars are allowed. Number 4, San Jose Island on the coastal bend. Locals just call it St. Joe, and it is a privately owned island that you cannot drive to, cannot build on, and cannot stay overnight on, which is exactly why it stays so pristine. To get there, you hop the little jetty boat from the wharf in Port Aransas for a few dollars, and a short ride later you step off onto 21 miles of completely undeveloped, vehicle-free sand. There are no shops here, no restrooms, no shade, nothing but beach. It is famous for shelling, where you can find prize lightning whelks, the Texas state shell, especially after a storm, and for legendary fishing off the North Jetty. There is even a little history here because back in 1845, the very first American flag over Texas was raised on one of these dunes. Walk away from the boat landing until the last person disappears, and it is just you and the open Gulf. The next one hides at the wild, alligator-filled far corner of the state. Number 3, Sea Rim State Park in the far southeast corner of Texas. This one is a genuine adventure to reach, and the journey makes the payoff even stranger. As you drive the narrow road down toward the coast near Port Arthur, you pass through a landscape of oil refineries, pipes, and smokestacks crowding the horizon, and then, all at once, it opens up. The industry falls away and you are looking at green marsh grass and a 5-mile beach that seems to stretch on forever, remote, wild, and almost always empty. This is not a manicured resort beach. It is real Texas coastal wilderness, where you can drive onto the sand, camp under huge skies, and paddle a kayak deep into marshes that hold the densest alligator population in the state. Stand on that lonely shore, marsh to the horizon behind you, and the Gulf in front, and you will not see another soul. Just you, the sand, and the Gulf. The next two are the 2 wildest places on the entire Texas coast. Number 2, Matagorda Island off the Middle Coast. Remember that island from the very beginning, the one with no roads and no people? This is it. Matagorda Island runs 38 miles long and is completely, utterly undeveloped. No electricity, no restaurants, no drinking water, and no bridge connecting it to anything. The only way to reach it is by boat or kayak across the bay from Port O'Connor. When you land, you have the whole thing almost to yourself. Wide open beaches where you can walk for miles without seeing another human. Deer and alligators and 325 kinds of birds, including those wintering, whooping cranes. There is an old lighthouse here from 1852, the oldest still standing on the Texas coast, and out in the dunes, the crumbling runways of an abandoned World War II airbase. Set up camp, watch the stars come out with zero light pollution, and understand what the coast looked like before any of us arrived. This is as wild as Texas gets. Or is it? Number 1, Padre Island National Seashore on the coastal bend. This is the crown jewel, and it is a world record holder. 70 miles of protected, undeveloped coastline, the longest stretch of wild barrier island left anywhere on Earth. Most people know only its famous, developed neighbor, South Padre, with its towers and its spring break crowds. This is the exact opposite. Here you air down your tires, drive your own truck straight down the beach, and keep going until the crowds, the buildings, and finally the cell signal all disappear behind you. This is the single most important nesting site in the country for the Kemp's Ridley, the most endangered sea turtle in the world. And if you time it right, you can watch tiny hatchlings released into the surf, roll out a sleeping bag miles from the nearest person, on sand that stretches farther than you can see by, and drift off to nothing but waves. No crowds, no towers, no signal, just 70 miles of wild Texas sand in the open Gulf. So here is the truth about the Texas coast. It is not the crowded, built-up strip everyone pictures. Hidden along more than 300 miles of shoreline are wild islands, empty beaches, and sleepy towns where you can still find a stretch of sand that feels like it belongs only to you. Everyone else is fighting for a spot on the same famous beach, while all of this sits just off the map, waiting. Just you, the sand, and the Gulf. So the next time someone tells you Texas does not do beaches, point the truck down one of these, air down the tires, and go find the coast the tourists never reach. If you would rather travel like this than follow the crowd, give this video a like and subscribe, and I will keep finding these places for you.